Oh, dream weaver. We had to start it out that way. Welcome again to another heavy revy broadcast with Brian and Shauna Christian. We are your hosts, and we're here to host you in the presence of bliss and glory. And so it's good to be back together. It's good to have my wonderful wife back from Ladies Weekend Out, where you missed her last weekend. And so we're really excited to be on here today. We're going to be talking about the dream of yourself and what that really is. And so it's pretty cool. Hey, Daryl, bless you.
Daryl.
Good to see you, brother. And I'm really excited because I've been having these tremendous encounters, and I know I'll bring this up again once everybody gets on here, but I'm just going to say it now that how many have been experiencing a shift? That especially in the month of March, that we have been experiencing just this increase of clarity, this realization of life. And even many are starting to get a lot of hindsight in their journey, like all the puzzle pieces are starting to come back together. And it has just been amazing, just getting that hindsight, getting the epiphany of the purpose of previous encounters that has led you to the unveiling of who you are right now. And so it's awesome. Good to see you, Sonny.
Hi, Sonny.
Bless you, bro. Danielle. Love you, bro.
Hi, brother.
Shaka Bam Bam. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the dream of you and dream of yourself, and where do we wake up, and what's the point of being asleep? And I think there's a lot to this. I did a post earlier on giving kind of an overview on this, and rather than read the post, you can just go read it yourself. But I do want to say one thing, and that is that let me give you just a scripture here. And this is in Psalm 78:65. It says, "Then the Lord awoke as if from sleep, like a warrior overcome by wine." And of course, that can be taken multiple ways depending on the context. But we hear other scriptures like, "Oh, the Lord neither sleeps nor slumbers." Okay, all right. Well, that's the divine fluidity of frequency in invisibility, known as divinity. Okay, and that aspect never sleeps or slumbers. But in the aspect of the divine, imagine God as energy, as source, not energy like what turns your lights on in your house, but let's use that as a metaphor here. I mean, we're all excited when electricity was created, or well, the previous generations were, and we're very happy that they invented electricity. And we're just like, wow, look, I've got a light bulb. It turns on. I can see. But have we ever looked at what the relationship within the wires is? What the relationship of what the electricity is experiencing, or the energy as it is moving from source into enlightenment, or into the manifestation of itself. Okay. And so you can't really see electricity unless it is embodied, unless it is harnessed, unless it is directed to this formation where we manifest lights in our house. And so God as source, or the source of all things as energy, never dies. Just like we never die. We are energy, right? And energy does what? It recycles itself and it changes form. Now imagine the moving, swirling, wheel within a wheel frequency of the invisibility of divinity that's chasing itself to embrace itself, but has no form. And I want you to kind of see this. It's God chasing himself. And even though it's unconditional love that has no directive or expression or purpose in its invisibility, only the sound of frequency. And of course, that's beautiful and that's deep, but it doesn't translate into what we ourselves are experiencing at this level. But it is all connected. And so imagine this dance of God's own pursuit of himself to embrace himself and face himself, in which the moment he touched himself, he was the allness and the fullness of himself, herself, however you want to put it, the divine masculine and feminine, in a sense, absorbed within itself, and in that recycled itself into form. Okay, now that formation has multiple levels, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, about multiple levels of formation that are actually a dream state of divinity, where an aspect of divinity is seen as Adam going to sleep, and within Adam, Eve being awakened, even within that dream, which is the divine feminine that is emerging as expression in the manifestation of form, in the manifestation of this structure that we call our human experience, and even beyond that. And is there anything you want to add to that, honey? She's like, no, I don't know what we're talking about today. She's like, dreams. What am I going to say? See, you know, we all dream, right? We all go to sleep physically, and we have dreams. But what we don't understand is that's a dream within a dream, within a dream, and within a dream. And sometimes we get a glimpse in that dream when we're in our physical dream state, sleeping into a dream. And what happens is we begin to enter into our multiversal self. We begin to enter into memories of other dreams. And sometimes in your dream, you're not you. Have you noticed that you don't look like you? Or your friends don't look like your friends, but you know them, because these are basically all the lives that you have been living simultaneously, but have been experienced through a timeline, back and forth, energy simply coming into a new form. All right. And Sonny, you're right there with Shauna, huh? Okay, so this is all fresh. I had this encounter the other night where I was taken into this realm of, again, what I call the soup of God, or the fluidity
the love soup.
Yep, the love soup of the dream state of bliss and love, reaching for itself, but not being able to embrace or express because of the invisibility, and therefore creating a dream state that would allow us to live out alternate realities and multiple realities all at the same time. I mean, you have what? I don't even know the count, if they can even count it, over 50 trillion cells in your body. And those cells at the base of them are strings of light that are vibrating, okay, that are portals, and that also have the potential of another human being or life source in each one of those cells. Okay, so you're carrying the generations of the heavens and the earth in the day you were manifested. And so visible manifestation is becoming conscious in the dream. It's becoming conscious in the dream, okay? And I think, and again, I don't want people to think that we're to deny the dream, because we're not here to deny the dream.
No.
We're here to enjoy the dream. Okay, this is the dream state. Remember,
that's why there is no negative or nightmares or things that we've, again, going back to the duality of like even dreams and the concepts of dreams, of how we've deemed things as a nightmare, or this was wonderful dream that can never really be made manifest. Well, the whole purpose of dreams is for you to see that it's all a parable, or parts of you processing or living out in multiple dimensions, in a sense. I've had multiple times where people have said, you know, you came to me in the dream, Shauna, and you were this, and this. And so sometimes I'm representing something else, or just who I am in their life, or, you know, things like that. So I think ultimately we want to get out of the concept of good and evil, and even in the dream state, realizing that even everything is just energy. There's not good or bad energy. It's just going to be what the higher and lower frequency, but we need both.
It's polarity.
Yeah, it's polarity. It's not duality in the sense of good and evil. There's just different levels and different layers. but it is all beautiful.
Yes.
And the dream state doesn't have to not be reality.
Yes, correct. The dream state is a real place that is real for your experience of divinity,
right?
But is not an actual place, because there is no space. There is no place. There is no time.
Yes.
We are actually filling all things as consciousness. And so, and I'm glad you're jumping in now, honey, because ultimately here's what we get to. Let's lay aside talking about the dream for a minute, and let's just live in the dream for a minute. Even everything we're talking about right now to you can only be received to an extent, because speaking words is a language of the Tower of Babel. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a language of the Tower of Babel, where those that were enlightened in that day became outwardly focused and tried to ascend through the external rather than the eternal. And the language of their frequency was quenched to no longer be heard by them or by those around them. And so it wasn't about God confusing their language in the sense of, oh man, now they're speaking Chinese, Japanese, and Hebrew, and I speak English and I don't understand. It had nothing to do with cultural language. It had to do with the language of frequency being shut down and being reduced to verbal communication. Okay. That's why our tongues of fire need to be heard, so that we can hear it in our own language, not in, again, English, Spanish, Chinese, or Japanese, but in the waking up of the very frequency that we are, in the very intention of what we're actually experiencing, engaging in, and partnering with. Okay. And so, whew, man, I just feel this realm breaking open right now. And I know we are already in a realm, but that's us beginning to wake up out of the dream. But then we're going to find out we're going to wake up in other dreams. And this is what's beautiful about it. Okay. So, if you ask yourself, what is reality? You're not really going to be able to answer that. We could say, well, reality is I'm sitting in this chair right here. Well, according to your perception, you're sitting in a chair. Okay. But we don't know the moment, why we chose the moment we chose in this moment to become conscious of, because since there is no time, there is no calendar of events that are happening one right after the other. And so what we're experiencing is the now that's coming at us, in which we are filing it together as a timeline. And that is actually interrupting our flow of frequency that supersedes human communication. So imagine God being this mystery. We always talk about, well, the things of God are a mystery, the mystery hidden. Okay. It's only a mystery to the 3D mind. It's only a mystery to those that are still stuck in the 3D. Now, imagine divinity in invisibility embracing those who only believe what they see. And the frequency and vibration of that love is coming through, but in the form and structure of conclusion, we are receiving it as duality. We are receiving it as, ego. So what if the ego is dreamed up? What if duality is dreamed up? What if that's only the dream based on our conclusion of our own formation, in which we're trying to receive love through that lens, in which now that love begins to tap into the fears within us, and the fear causes torment, and everything we're viewing of the divine is being misinterpreted as the opposite. And I think there's some truth to that. I think there's definitely some truth, right? And this is going to help us get out of the concept of I need to kill my ego, because really you don't need to kill an ego if it's a dream. What you need to do is find out the purpose of the dream and dream. Okay. And in that, you're going to find yourself being freed up.
Right.
Once you realize you're dreaming, you're able to control your dreams. Have you ever heard that concept, right?
Yes.
Wake up, oh sleeper,
Yeah.
And so really God had a dream of a human experience. And in that human experience, he manifested as Adam. And Adam then dreamed of a manifestation or God then dreamed of a visible expression of himself in the divine feminine as Eve. And Eve was brought forth while Adam was asleep. And never do you see God waking up Adam or Eve. In fact, then they eat of the tree of knowledge and their eyes are open to the third level of the dream, very much like the movie Inception. So a dream within a dream within a dream that leads us through this dream all the way to Golgotha, the place of a skull, and all the way to Paul saying, "Awake, O sleeper."
Yes.
So the lamb slain from before the foundation of the world is the plan to have a dream. It's the plan to have a dream, okay? And so, yes, your body is a dream. Sonny, we do not have a body, but we have imagined a body, and we've imagined a body through the wonder of divine imagination, which is the childlike faith that Jesus is speaking of. Everybody and everything in your life is a expression of you looking back at you to gauge where you're at in the dream and where you're at when you're where you're awake from the dream. Now, where do we stay asleep and where do we wake up? We stay asleep in the sense that we enjoy and embrace the visible manifestation of God's dream of himself in and through one another. Okay. And that is the beauty of it. We enjoy the beauty of nature. We enjoy the beauty of one another. We enjoy even the contradictions and resistances that are actually there to show us more beauty and to reinterpret that goodness, glory, and grace that we twisted into duality and bring us back into that alignment, which we would call restoration or transformation. Okay? And so that is the divine masculine and the feminine, which is the Adam and Eve, okay? But it also goes into all realms. So any truth that is truth doesn't just touch one aspect. It's folded within every aspect of the divine. And so it can be seen at multiple angles, okay? Multiple views. By the way, Adam and Eve, the word Eve, when you break it down to its deeper Hebrew roots, actually means that which was beforehand. Okay? So that which was beforehand would be that which was chosen in Christ before the foundations of the world. So in other words, in the divine masculine, in Adam, in humanity, in the dream state, divinity is pulling out the remembrance of who you've always been, your origin. So origin is connected with Eve, and the rib, which is mentioned only once there in Genesis concerning Eve, is mentioned one other place, and it's in Solomon's temple for the framework and support for the temple. Okay, it's the big pillars that hold it up. Okay, so those are known as the ribs. Okay, and so the rib, which is the formation or the structure of the visible experience of divinity looking at itself in a dream state, is what you're experiencing in the 3D, okay? And as we realize we're upgrading to 5D, we are not waking up from the dream. We're waking up from the 3D dream that 5D is having. So you in 5D are having a 3D dream, that you're in a 3D world of duality, of separation, of disconnect, of sorrows and pain and fights and all of that. And we are waking up to 5D realizing none of that is true. Yes, people are acting it out because they have been believing their dream is their reality in those areas. But we are waking up to a more glorified, transparent 3D visible manifestation with 5D eyes that is now able to see the allegorical view of life through every person and thing looking back at us, aiding us as us to wake up. Okay? So like when I look at my wife with 5D eyes, I see the awake, nurturing parts of me reaching over to embrace the broken, dualistic parts of me. Okay? I see that with all those in my life that are loving me. And all those that I can't stand in my life are the parts of me I can't stand. Okay? All those that I look at and say, that person's frequency is an interruption to me. They represent the ego parts of me that still have not come into the inclusion of who I truly am. Okay? Does that make sense? And so this is where we end up, right? And that's right. We are nothing without Jesus and nothing without the Holy Spirit. Now flip that around. Jesus and the Holy Spirit would be nothing without us because they're one and the same. There is no separation and there is no duality. It's both, okay? Because Jesus is the revelation of who we've always been, all right? And now we are sent as Jesus is sent, as the revelation of the Christ, which is who all have always been, okay? And so we are that one spirit visibly manifesting, and this is God's dream. This is God's dream, all right? God's dream of him and herself, the masculine and the feminine. It's really hard when you don't have words. Now, if I just sit here and vibrate, it'll make more sense, because it doesn't need to make sense. It needs to wake you up.
Yes, don't get caught up in the words, but hear the sound behind the sound.
Listen to the sound within the sound, or the wheel within the wheel, because frequency is the only way divinity communicates outside of visible manifestation. And so spirit slowed down to visibility to reminisce in that which it already knew, okay? The knowing of God. So the knowing of God slowed down to think. And the thinking of God is manifest as a dream world of duality, or shall I say polarity, that is actually positive and negative, that is chasing itself. You ever seen the symbol of the yin and the yang? If you ever see it like put on a wheel to where you could spin it, it'll look like that the white one, the white yin, I don't know which one's yin and yang. I think there's the yin and the yang, the white and the black. But as they spin, it looks like they're eating each other. They're eating each other. And we always think, well, the white one needs to eat the black one so that we're free. Well, if that's the case, there is no existence. Because there is no existence without both. You will not recognize love unless you recognize fear, okay? Not at this level or density, okay?
Right.
And so basically, knowing that this density would be so dense and thick and dark, vibration, when it passes through this density, which is all within our mind, it's not really coming outside. 3D is not around you. 3D is a projection of where you're at in your mind, okay? And, when you hit 5D, it's still going to be coming from where you're at in your mind. It don't matter how many Ds there are, how many dimensions, they're all within the steps or of the ladder of your DNA, and that itself is the universe. In fact, recently they found out that there's water in the universe. There's even water in the sun. And the eye of God that is seen in space, it even has tears coming off of it at times. Okay? So they're saying now that space is made up of water. Now, it's not actual water, even though it might manifest, or we might observe it. The observable universe is not necessarily what it is. But yet we are made up mainly of water, okay? And the earth is covered with water. And what is water? Water is waves, all right? So we're dealing with, again, back to frequency, the fluidity that cycled within itself to chase itself, to embrace itself, and in the embrace manifested in multiple dimensional forms in a dream state, so that it could be received, calibrated, aligned, and graduated through. And this is what we're walking through. And none of this, that's right, like David just said, living water, plasma, conscious, intelligent energy that stores memory. I got to put that up there, because that's exactly that's the truth right there. Conscious, intelligent energy that stores memory, all right? And so the knowing of all things, which is what we're vibrating into in our observable multiverse of ourself, is to come out of the thought realm of memory, that is the entanglement of polarity as duality, in which we have reduced the purpose of divinity's dream and divinity's formation. And therefore, we are caught in our own nightmare in hell, because we have reduced the image of God to be made like man, in the sense of we have taken the dream as our ultimate identity and reality, when it is only there for the adventure in the midst of knowing you are already that divine mind. Okay. So we're waking up to that, right? And this is what's happening. Anything you want to add to that, honey? Shaka Bam Bam? You can just go into another subject.
Yeah, I'm like, what the heck do you even add to that?
Sorry, I'm gone in the glory.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to share
break that down, honey.
Okay, I'm going to share a dream recently
yes,
that I had.
Share this dream.
Recently, I had a dream where I was in a car with a bunch of women, and we were going to go see my dad, who has already transitioned. And I knew he had already transitioned, but yet we were going to go see him. And we were going to like this brand new house to go see. And I was there, and I remember just looking out and being stuck in the moment of the beauty of, like, I was watching my kids play and being stuck in that beautiful moment of just joy and bliss. And as I was watching that, somebody came up behind me and stuck a shot in my neck and was trying to put me to sleep, trying to put me out. But they did. So my body laid down, but my spirit just was still there, being present. And I remember saying, like, you don't need to put me to sleep. I will just go to sleep willingly. Like, I will go. I know you're trying to help me. Like, my spirit was speaking to the girl that was trying to hide, like sneak up and hide and put me out.
Put a syringe in
Yeah,
there.
put a syringe and put me to sleep. Yeah. Like there was some kind of something happening to me that needed to happen while I was not awake.
Yes.
I guess the subconscious parts needed to become conscious, and it was in the dream state. And so, anyways,
it was a dream within a dream.
It was a dream within a dream, because I was dreaming.
Yes.
And we talked about it afterwards, and we figured that the person that was putting the shot in my neck was also me. It wasn't some other person. It was me.
That's right.
Kind of like the ego.
Yes.
And it just really blew my mind, and it really made sense of just different parts of myself that are becoming more consciously aware.
Yes.
And it's happening all over. Everybody are just kind of waking up, in a sense. I know we've been talking about being awake and those asleep, or conscious, or
even when you wake up, you're asleep.
Yes. Well, that's the whole thing that we're realizing, is that that even though we are waking up, or we call people the woke people and things like that.
Well, that's more of a political.
Yeah, but either way, but there's still the concepts are being put out there, the language, the words that are being put out there. But the thing is we're still asleep in this dimension.
Yes.
And so what I was seeing with my dream was kind of like this realization that it's okay to sleep, it's okay to dream, it's okay to be, process in your dream state, that it isn't bad, but you don't have to hide to do it.
Yes.
It's actually a joy. It's a good thing to fall asleep to wake up.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yes.
And so
it was all on purpose.
It is all on purpose. And I think what happens is I know for me, there were seasons where I was just like, I cannot wake up to this kind of reality. He would just talk, and I'd be like, I understand what you're saying, but I cannot put on that reality because it wasn't my reality yet, even though I witnessed to it. And I think a lot of times we hear people talk about that, and we can witness or hear what somebody is saying, but don't necessarily know how to put on what's being spoken, that revelation. Yeah. And so it's okay, because it's all a part of the process of being asleep and waking up.
Yes.
And not everybody.
Just like forgetting and remembering.
Yes. And we've been talking about that too.
Yeah.
And how I used to be so frustrated with forgetting and not remembering because I thought I was going to be losing something, or I was going to be left out, or, you know, all of that stuff. And I don't feel that way anymore.
Yes.
And I think that's the goal, is to see the beauty in being asleep. And this life is all about, you know, enjoyment.
It is. I think what Shauna is saying here is that when we're called to wake up from our slumber, we're to wake up from the dream being our ultimate reality.
Right.
Like, this is our only life we're living here, and that this is all there is. And to wake up to the reality that you're actually in a dream. And when you wake up realizing you're in a dream. And that posture allows you to utilize the dream as the place of embrace, as the place of expansion, as the place of creativity. Okay.
Yes.
And so we are creating within the dream world known as God's own subconscious, where he became self-aware of himself. And all of that we're living out is simply a thought in the divine mind being lived out as a reality or as a dream. Okay. And so, you know,
so in a sense, kind of thinking about the Matrix movies, because the goal in the Matrix movies were to wake people up. Yeah, of course, we want to wake people up. We want them to know who they really are. But what was so cool about it too is, like, even though they were dreaming or plugged back into the Matrix, once they knew who they were, they now could live out in that divine flow. And they could fly, and they could run faster, and do all of the, you know, be like, have all those cool superpowers in that dimension.
Yes.
And so ultimately, as we wake up, and we wake up to actually just who we are, or glimpses of who we are, it's so that we can enjoy the moment more.
Yes. That's right. That's right. And so, you know, like what David just said, in him we live and move and breathe and have our being. And everything we're experiencing is from within the mind of divinity, which is us, which is experiencing a visible image of itself as mankind, as starseeds, as celestial and terrestrial beings. We obviously know we're not alone in the universe. We know that there are other beings and you know, star families and civilizations out there in other universes. And so even though they might appear to be biological, even at their level, it's a dream. It's just a different level dream. There's the 3D dualistic corrupted version of a fallen world. And then there's the 5D glorified version of the 3D as the new heavens and the new earth. Okay, it's still going to have its visible dimensions, you know, which can appear to be a constraint of linear time in that which can be measured. But yet at the same time, time becomes a tool once you cross over and redeem the time, because you're no longer entangled with the cares of this dream. Okay. And so what is the purpose of everything we are learning in the dream is not about standing on truth as facts. Okay. Our truths that we get are truths that are based in an interaction and bonding of expression in God looking at himself in formation. Okay. That's actually the whole purpose of truth. Okay. Here. But it's not the ultimate truth, because the ultimate truth is who you are as the spirit of truth, that didn't come here to gain something that it already knew, but to find a place to express it in a structured manifestation of itself, looking back at itself. And so this becomes the whole adventure and beauty of the journey is this formation manifestation. And so while many are experiencing, whether it be reincarnation or past lives or, you know, light beings or aliens coming from another galaxy and having these experiences, even though in the 3D, it is your experience that you can receive. In the 5D, there is only a singularity looking at multiple versions of yourself all at once. There is not a coming and going. There is not a putting off and a putting on, okay? It is all simply being seen as a now expression. I mean, if you were to be able to see the generations of the heavens and the earth as they really are, they're all here right now, all living it out right now in a now place, because there isn't a tomorrow and there isn't a yesterday. But in the 3D, the timeline perception puts us in a place of past and present and future. But there really is only the now, and the now is everything is happening in, okay? And it's always happening in the now, and it's not a repeat for it to always happen in the now, okay? And I know that's a concept that can be hard, but you know, think about truth for a minute here. And it says in, I think it's in Ephesians, it says to be washed in the water of the truth, right? To be washed in the word. Or excuse me, washed in the water of the word, okay? So you have the word and you have the water of the word. And I can't remember if it was me and Daniel O that was talking about this earlier.
Probably.
So I might be taking his stuff. I don't know. But anyway, I'll give him credit for it. So washing in the water of the word, see, the word, we always say, well, God is the word, but the word is a reduced version that actually carries more of the dualistic confusion. That's where Babel came in. Babel came in when they went from water to words. And so the water was to gaze within consciousness and to go within that to enter the kingdom. But instead, they began to build outwardly, and their language was reduced to words, okay? And of course, there's a flip side of that, to where those that remained in that frequency, nobody else could understand them, okay? Because their language was now different. So, you know, the water of the word is the frequency, that fluidity of God without form that cannot be spoken. So that which is spoken is actually a twisted version. And so even though I'm speaking right now, I'm speaking in the adventure of childlike wonder, to have fun with what is revealed for the purpose of embrace, bonding, and expression. Okay?
Right.
And let go of everything else, because we are here to manifest the frequency of love that is emanating out of the water of the word, in which we are no longer reducing ourselves to mere verbiage and explanation and intellectual, you know, jargon. We're entering in to the place to where we can actually experience, and we've had this happen in all of our gatherings, because that's one of the reasons I've got a language that nobody can understand. It was meant for you to not understand it.
Correct.
Because if you understood it, you would reduce it. But instead, you can't understand it, but you'll bear witness to it. And in what you bear witness to, you experiencing a washing of water, okay? And so you begin to encounter. So there's been a lot of people go, just went over my head what Brian said. But while he was talking, and it didn't make any sense, I sensed that I knew it, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I couldn't even comprehend it. But then I had this encounter. And it's like, yep, you just got the washing of the water of the word. It's the imagery outside of images, known as a witness, which has no form, time, or space, or matter.
Right.
And it is the dimension of intention.
Correct.
Of divinity.
A good example of this is when you are talking to somebody and they might be saying, well, I love you, but you may not be hearing I love you. You might be hearing the frequency or the attention or whatever is going on in them behind the wanting to say I love you.
Yes.
And so you're not able to sometimes receive what people are saying, because you're picking up the sound behind the sound. You know, you're picking up the intention behind what's going on. And so a lot of times we'll tell people, it's like, yeah, you can say all the right things, but what you're saying is not really the main point. Is you want to look and check yourself, check your heart, and look at your own intentions of why you want to say something, because that's what people pick up on. That's what we hear. That's what we sense. That's what we're feeling. I mean, we got all these different types of people picking up on stuff, and we're usually picking up on not even the words. That's why words are so limiting. And so, yeah, that's kind of what you're saying. It's limiting. What you
Yes.
gonna say?
Psalms 18:26 says, with the purified, you show yourself pure, and with the crooked, you make yourself seem torturous. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all based on how we view ourselves and how we view. So when you come out from being the worm, oh Jacob, the sinner, the wretch that God is disappointed with, when we come out of that mentality of hellfire and brimstone and this lie of separation and all of this stuff, this schizophrenic version of God, we're breaking out of the 3D. Okay, we might not be fully manifested visibly as light physically, but people can sense your light, and some will come against that light because they're living in a completely different world than you are.
Right.
This is why it says the worlds were framed by the word of God. And so the framing of the word of God doesn't start with verbiage. The framing of the word of God starts with the firmament above and the firmament below in Genesis 1. Okay? Heavenly perspective, and the visible manifestation of it being worked out at certain levels, okay, in the earth, okay, but yet at the same time, those waters are framing the world, all right. But the moment those waters are reduced to are being filtered through the dualistic realm, they get reduced to only verbiage, and therefore there is no power behind it. But yet God confirms his word with signs following.
Right.
Okay. And we are the sign following as the word in liquid form, or shall I say in fluidity, which basically means out of your belly is flowing rivers. And so that river is the divine feminine, just as Eve coming up out of the sleeping Adam is us in our humanity asleep, and who we are waking up as the expression of the divine feminine, which is the visible manifestation of what's been given of the masculine in invisible form. And so all of this is for the purpose of engaging our life, engaging our world without being consumed by it. Okay. Yeah. And so, but yet when we get consumed in dualistic thinking, we then reduce we reduce the image of God to be made like man, and the making of man only uses verbiage and only looks for facts in the world of their conclusion, which is now framing our world with words that prevent us from the power of the fluidity of the frequency of truth, and bring us into the traditions of men. Okay. And so we are coming into this place where, whew, man, the mind is breaking open, and we're beginning to see things that we haven't seen before when it comes to the intention of why we're here. And let me just say this, and this sounds funny, but I'll just put it in a funny way. God decided to purposefully put himself to sleep, which is you, by the way, before formation. And in that sleep, decided to dream of a world that has his attributes in it, but also to dream of what he's not. And the dream of what he's not, which he could never be, he dreamed. Okay? And that would be everything that we're experiencing that doesn't look like God. Okay? We can put it that way too. And in this purposeful dream, God created gods that weren't real so that people would chase after them and come to the end of themselves and realize they would never satisfy, and through that begin to open the realm of who they are. So it's funny that God created a world of false gods that had nothing to do with what we thought, because we thought we were in reality. So we're taking very serious everything we do and don't do in this dimension, because God is said to, keep the earth and do all that. And what he was talking about when he said keep the garden, he was talking about your mind. If you want to have dominion, this is the dominion, because there is no world outside of your mind. Right. Okay, you're only experiencing your mind right now. And so it's a beautiful thing. you want to add something to that, honey? Shakalaka?
Yeah. So really, it's funny because it's like we think we came here to find some deep mystery truth, and ultimately to dream is to be like a child.
Yes.
And to enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
And find the love and beauty in our experience.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I mean, when I think of the title "Dream of Yourself,"
yes.
I think about children, and ultimately, when I look at my children and their dreams of what they want to be, it's like they don't think that it's not possible.
That's right.
They're just like, this is what I want to do. This is what I got to, I'm going to be this. I'm going to be a film director because that's what I want to do.
Yep.
You know, I'm going to be a police officer because that's what, I mean, that's what we hear and we see with little children is this is just what they're going to do. And yeah, it might change, but ultimately it's, they have a dream and a desire and they just see it as it is.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where we are as little children, and the keys to seeing the kingdom and coming into the kingdom and all these other things has to do with being as little children.
Yes.
So we go from children to adulthood and put on all these false expectations and parameters and constraints on life and love.
Yes.
And instead we need to go backwards and remember what it's like to be as little children, and not to forget to dream.
Yes.
I think so many times I talk to other adults and I'm like, well, what's your dream? What's your hope? What do you want for life? And people are so caught up in just trying to survive that they don't even know what they want to dream anymore.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the concept of talking about this right now is so vital, because I think we're starting to wake up to the dream of life and that it is all beautiful. Yeah. And we can have the dream that we want to have.
That's right. That's all the book of life is, by the way. You don't pray a prayer and God writes down your name. Okay, don't mess up or I'm going to erase your name. All right, come through the pearly gates and meet Peter there. You know, it isn't anything like that. The book of life is the life of God manifest as all humanity and every other being of every other dimension that is every part of his body that is living out Divinity's dream. And Divinity's dream is not reduced because you have a bad thought. Right. Or a thought you think is bad. Okay. It is consciousness experiencing everything it can be conscious of, even if it isn't the thing that it is in its own consciousness. And so God is love, but that love outside of formation is a misdirected love, or a love that cannot grasp itself without formation. So the structure of the visible is not a reduction of the invisible, but the fullness of the Godhead in bodily form for the directive of love, so that love carries a purpose beyond swirling in the love soup of the dream of love. Yeah. So there is this, you know.
So you're not trying to get rid of all the darkness and all the pain and all the suffering that you walk through. It's the complete opposite. You're walking through it and experiencing it and using it all in love.
In love. And once your eyes open, it doesn't look bad anyway.
Right. Most of the time when we're going through a lot of painful stuff, it's because we don't yet see the purpose in it. We don't see how this could benefit. But if we, because of hindsight and seeing and journeyed out certain things that we have, it's like, oh, now we have relatability, compassion, love. Everything is flowing through those parts that we've deemed dark or bad, or like I did a post recently and I'm like, oh my God, I was talking to him. I'm like, I'm realizing all of my fears of death and fear of loss and fear of everything has led me to the place that I'm in now of letting go, of needing to control things, needing to fix things, needing to survive things. I don't need to do any of that.
That's right.
I am being as a little child and enjoying the moment and being grateful for the people and the things that I am experiencing right now.
Oh, it's beautiful. You know, I was looking at my kids the other night, right after this encounter, and it was like, I looked at them and I saw me as them saying, hey, I'm Divinity awake. You're asleep. But you want to know what fatherhood is? Fatherhood is this, being a child. Fatherhood is learning to play. It's being in the wonder. And so we have all of these road signs, these signposts around us in the form of people that are the wake versions of it. When I say wake, I don't mean the woke. Okay, I'm not talking political anything. I'm talking about waking up to true identity. And those people in our life that love us when we can't love ourselves, that is actually us coming to us.
Mm-hmm.
And when we see that, we become confident. We're no longer looking outward going, oh, well, yeah, well, that person can love me, but I can't love like that person. See, we get rid of the competition and the comparing with one
Right.
another when we realize we're actually being mirrored
Right.
through one another
Right.
of who we actually are in those areas that what we long to be in those who inspire us, you know? And so
if we take
yeah.
everything as you,
Yes.
then there is nothing external.
There
is
nothing.
No one separate from
It's
you.
all from within you.
Yes. So if you see, like you're saying, if you're seeing someone that you just love and you honor and all of those things, that's you.
That's you.
Those are areas in yourself that you can see that are honorable and lovable.
That's right.
And again, the other side of it, the flip side of it, when we see people that just annoy us or frustrate us or who are hard-headed or don't get it or whatever, and we become frustrated with them. It's one thing to see it and to love them right where they are. But to see it and then become frustrated with it, those are parts of ourselves. Again, it's just us.
Yes.
So it's just me. And when you can see that, you see, oh, those are parts of myself that I have not extended that grace to. Those are parts of myself that have not experienced that perfect love, you know, and then you can give yourself grace. And then it just extends and it flows to everyone else around you because it's all you.
Yes.
And it's not selfish.
That's right.
It's not selfish to say it's all you. It's actually healthy to realize that nobody out there is external from you.
That's right.
And the scripture that says, you know, love your neighbor as yourself. I used to hear that and take that as, oh, well, I'm just going to love everybody else better than I would actually love myself because that's how it looked. But that's a lie. You're supposed to love everybody else as you love yourself.
That's right.
So if you love everybody else, but then can't stand yourself, then there's a problem with your perception of you. And therefore, you're not really loving anybody else because you have hidden expectations and all this other stuff going on. What were you going to say?
Well, that goes along with kind of my post as well, is that, you know, when you're ministering to somebody and you're not seeing fruit, it's because you're seeing them as separate from you. Realize that whatever they're going through, you might have some of that in you. There might still be something there, and you're ministering to you when you minister to them. Okay. And if you will recognize that when you're loving a broken person, that you're loving your own brokenness, you will be able to turn and love yourself. And so in a sense, sometimes it goes both ways. We love ourselves, then we love others. And then sometimes we can't see that. So we see ourselves in another to learn to love ourselves.
Right.
And I think both are good in that sense. But like, you know, everything in your life is showing you exactly where you're awake. Everything in your life and where you are asleep. Okay. And so if you will begin to look at that and realize that everything and everybody is a manifestation of your mind and of your thoughts, and that you have framed your world with thoughts as a life lived. And again, it doesn't mean that when you talk to people, you call them by your name. I mean,
hello, Shauna.
Yes, because we're also in the dream to engage the dream. Okay. So in the domestic realm, we still speak to everybody as separate from us in our communication, in the domestic, in life. We don't have to be crazy people about it, but our inner perspective of how our identity lines up with the way in which we view us flows through the lens of an allegorical view of your life, which is all from the inside. And so this is where the balance comes in. This is where we really come into the place where we enter a place of bliss and rest, and the dream becomes fun. Okay, it's a fun dream. We need to learn to play again.
Yes.
We need to learn to create.
Woo! Yeah.
And when I say create, we're trying to create in the heavens, and yet we chose to have a dream. And so what we need to do is we need to expand this dream. All right. So as we raise the frequency of the earth, as we're waking up, as all the star seeds are waking up, all right, you're waking up as the stars of heaven. and you're going to raise that frequency. But you know what you're going to do? You're going to wake up from one dream into another dream. And then you're going to wake up from that dream into another dream. Mm-hmm. And we're going to keep dreaming, okay? Because that's the way the visible manifests the invisible divinity of God. Right. And there is only divinity. There is only goodness, grace, glory. There is nothing besides that except what we have concluded about the dream. Right. Okay? And so be encouraged. And this was just, wasn't a long message tonight, but we wanted to bring this up and just
get your minds going.
Get your minds going, guys. Yes.
Yeah, get you thinking.
And I'm going to actually I want to read let me get to it here. I want to read the post I did, just a little bit of it. I wrote this was just another post I did. I said, "The book of life is your dream journal. It is the life of God structured as a pop-up picture book. God's life as a dream of being mankind, Elohim." And so this is where we overcome. We overcome by realizing we had a dream that said we had to, or that we were defeated. And so now we're waking up from that part of the dream into a dream that there's nothing to overcome, because divinity decided to look within itself and behold itself in another form. Okay. And so now we can rest. And what we're going to find is that all the things you thought you needed to overcome begin to fall off of you. They begin to fall off of you because we're no longer empowering it as something that we need to overcome. Let's stop trying to build illusions that we have to overcome. Right. We don't need to. All right.
We're not overcoming.
We're not overcoming.
We're not going anywhere.
Okay. When Jesus overcame the world, he woke up from the dream. He was no longer entangled in it. And now he could decide how he wanted the dream to go. You see? So you are the creator of your dream. All right. And so you get to now create within that dream. And the way we create is through higher frequencies of manifesting love, of embracing. The lower frequencies actually affect our DNA. They affect our chemicals in our brain, and they cause us to live out illusions. And so there is an effect on all levels here when it comes to negative thoughts and energy that we promote within us when we believe we're less than who we are, can actually manifest all kinds of sickness, disease, which are illusions, but we will live out what we believe. But when we raise that frequency by simply meditation and looking for that which is love and grace and goodness and peace, what happens is it actually begins to release completely different chemicals in your body, in your brain, that actually heal your body, that strengthen your immune system, that gives you peace, that brings clarity. And we know that our ability to access deeper realms of revelation and understanding are coming when the chemicals in our brain are in alignment with peace, love, hope, and grace, right? And so that's right, Sonny, they cause dis-ease. So we need to come out of the place where we don't feel ease and to get to let go of the disease, and we need to enter the ease, which is really just a breeze. And it's just a breeze, man. It becomes easy, it becomes glorified, it becomes magnified. And that's what we're experiencing in this time and season. So bam, I'm excited. All right, real quick here. Let's see. So we're going to start putting some upcoming events. We're working on that, and we will have them up by the first week in April. I'm prophesying that, so I'm not lazy. My wife's going to do it because she's better at administration. You're going to be getting some calls from my wife, some of you that are wanting us to come to your area and region. And we're going to be hitting New York first in the first weekend of May. We will get that out. It's going to be in the Chautauqua, Buffalo area. And it's going to be registration. We are going to have limited seating and housing, but we will be providing housing, food, and a lot of glory and activation sessions, 5D sessions, shift sessions, all these different types of flows that we flow in. and it's a whole new flow this time around. We ain't moving in old glory or old bread. Okay, we got some fresh manna.
Yeah.
And so the first week in there is going to be a Friday night, a Saturday around 11 a.m., a Saturday night at 6 p.m., and a Sunday morning at 11 a.m. And then the rest just fellowship. We're also going to be there a day before and a day after for doing some of these other activation sessions that people will have to reach out to us and talk to us if you want to do that, or talk to Jackie Myers. We will put this out on an event page soon. It will be $150 per person. That covers Friday and Saturday and part of Sunday. That's shelter, that's food. You ain't gonna find anything cheaper. I mean, geez, that's one night at a hotel, not counting food. You know, unless you go to a Roach Motel, you might be able to get a burger with it. You know, but ultimately, it's better than staying in a hotel and going out to eat. So you're gonna save a lot of money, and and it's going to be off the hook, amazing. So we will have that information out to you soon. We will also be going to some other places up above Chautauqua. I think it's above, right? Or is it to the west? Anyway, on the way.
It's north.
Is it north? Okay. About an hour away from there, where we're going to be ministering in different places. We're going to try to get that info to you as well. We're going to be ministering with a bunch of New Age groups. We're going to be ministering to Amish groups. And we're going to be ministering at a Church of God church. And we're going to be flowing in this realm that we're bringing to you. No holds barred, no holding back. It's time for plain speech. It's time for demonstration, and it's time for holy vibration. And so we're going to begin to feel those good vibrations. We're going to begin to surf on the sound of heaven that's flowing out of us. Woo! The sound that's flowing out of us that's going to begin to burst forth. And so we've got all kinds of things happening. We're trying to lump it all in because we actually have too many places to go this year. Okay, we've got so many doors open. We're trying to figure out how we're going to jump from one to the other. So, but those that I've promised will be there. We will be there this year, and the rest of you might have to wait. But we're going to be jumping around all over the place. We're going to be coming to Michigan, Minnesota, South Dakota, Canada, California, New Mexico, Mississippi, Texas, Alabama, Texas, and Ohio. And it's going to be off the hook. So get ready for it. That's a lot. That's a lot. Amen. And we'll probably hit Florida too when we come back through after we hit New York a second time in September for the Fam Bam Communion Reunion. Fam Bam Communion Reunion Gathering. Yeah, I think I just jumped timelines there. Yeah. And I just got to release this prophetic sound right now. We are in a new timeline. On the 20th of March, we jumped timelines. We have dissolved the old timeline. We are in a new timeline. It's an upgraded version. And there is an activation. There is a clarity. There is a strategy. There is a release of increase of strength in the body. There is wholeness manifesting and explosions of light breaking out of people's cellular structures. And we are in a new timeline. Okay. And now we haven't entered the ultimate one, but we're in the in-between because we wouldn't be able to handle it if we jumped into what we're about to jump into without hitting this in-between timeline of adjustments and shifts, but holy shifts. It's holy shift, right? And we're about to get shift-faced in a glorious and most powerful way. So be encouraged. We're entering, as Daniel David Oskopinski just said, the limitlessness reality of glory and divinity. So we love y'all. If you want to give and help us get where we need to go, we need your money. So your money helps us get going, and we need some money. So if you want to trade with us, you can go to the website and you can give. And we appreciate it because this is what's helping us to get where we're going. And I also believe, I think we're trying to fit Tennessee in there as well, and Indiana. So I left out a couple, didn't I? Yeah, so I left out Indiana and Tennessee. So We didn't forget you. We're going to be going there as well. So we're excited. You're excited. Let's go party together.
Yes, that's actually what I keep seeing. It's like just dance parties.
Dance
fun.
parties. Yes.
Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun. Let's have some dance parties, eh? Good to see you, Melissa. Good to see you, sister. Let's have some dance parties, eh? And so we're excited. So come on out to these different locations where we'll be posting on it. It'll be on Facebook. It'll be on my website. And I will do a specific video on the locations as well, and when and where and all of that. A lot of them are going to be in homes because we just like being in homes. We don't see the point in spending a lot of money on buildings when we can come together and eat together and fellowship together and just simply have family time together. Melissa, we will be coming mid May. We will be in Minnesota. Okay, mid-May. So right around.
Maybe.
Oh, wait a second. Do we have another place to go in between?
Honey, yeah, you don't say nothing.
Don't say nothing.
He knows nothing right now.
Is Indiana after that or what?
Yeah, because there's states in between.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it will be in May, probably later in the May.
Or June.
No, later in May.
Okay.
Or June. We'll have it all out really soon, in a week and a half.
I will figure it out.
In a week, she's doing it.
Derek, we got to see you before we go.
Yes.
We miss you, brother.
We miss you, Derek. And yes, we will be seeing you before we go. If you're still in North Carolina, we're still in South Carolina. So let's get together, brother.
Yes.
Definitely. And we can't wait. And we're so excited. Andrea, we can't wait to see you. You and Paul and the fam and the church over there. And we're just so excited. We can't wait to see Christy and Jen and our family over there in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
So we are looking forward to it. And there's going to be a lot of demonstrations. So get ready for major manifestations of grace, glory, and goodness. And miracle signs and wonders, because you are the miracle, you are the sign, and you are the wonder. We love you all. Yes. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And we will see you all Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye for now.